He who votes is not necessarily what counts, but he who counts the votes. The lies that they have told you and I is not tenable. If you transmit via the beavers to the IRF, even if there's no network, Steve, like when I send you a WhatsApp message, it will deliver once there's network. So the argument about, oh, there might not be network, so it won't deliver, is surreptitious, delusional, wicked, impious, and impish. They are deliberately trying to frustrate the aspirations and the wishes of the Nigerian people. It is rogue. They are trying to rig the next election. And clearly what is playing out, are you aware that in the Abuja Municipal Council and several others, the elections that took place yesterday, that the IRF, quote unquote, has been jammed? Are you aware that they're saying the argument is that, oh, they cannot transmit to the IRF? That is their hubris. That is their way of wanting to rig, and they're practicalizing it with what is happening today in Abuja.
Hello guys, thanks a lot for the visit. This interview is a must watch. A lot of secrets have been revealed. How APC wants to rig the 2027 election by using this Abuja municipal election as a template, as a experiment to see how the next election in 2027 will be rigged. Then also how Peter Obi has a backup party in case ADC fail, because ADC now they are planning to deregister ADC, and in case he did not get the presidential candidate in ADC, what is his next movement about the electoral reform, how they used it and want to use it to experiment in Abuja, how it will work. A lot of things have been exposed in this interview. This interview by it was Chris Mokobia that exposed a lot of things that are going to happen in 2027. And in short, this interview is really educative and informative. So if you've not subscribed to our channel, man, do well to subscribe. Let us hear from the horse's mouth to be informed, so that we'll not get deformed, so that we will know our way forward and what to do to prevent these people that want to rig themselves in 2027. And also we also know Obi's backup plan, because it is ADC movement and the rest is not too clear. When you have too much of these people that have put us in this situation in one party, Atiku and Co, trying to come back, is not clear. Anyway guys, let's listen to the interview. See you on the other side. At the end of the interview, we'll run our own commentary too. See you on the other side.
In some polling centers where INEC has as much as about 600 registered voters, they didn't have up to 50 voters who came out to vote. In some places, they didn't have more than 10 voters who came out to vote. And again, that is because Nigerians are increasingly losing faith in the political process. Nigerians are beginning to doubt whether our democracy truly stands true to terms with what it should be, the government, according to Abraham Lincoln, the government of the people, by the people, and for the people. And as, particularly when you talk about the Federal Capital Territory, you did emphasize the importance of the Federal Capital Territory. This is the seat of government of Africa's most populous nation. This is the seat of government of Africa's biggest nation. This is the seat of government of Africa's largest democracy. Rise resource person, Tia, posted yesterday regarding Asokoro. About 18 polling centers barely had people who came there to vote. And it is indeed worrisome. The electoral process is doubtful. If people have reason to doubt the sincerity of the process, the integrity of the process, then we're all in trouble. Where I drove through in Abuja yesterday, I found out that most people were either playing or perhaps at home. You see the streets. There was no movement, but there was indeed movement around the hoods, and people were largely uninterested. And it is indeed troubling. It is indeed worrisome. And then you know why. Permit me a bit of peek into the past. After the 2023 elections, when the cliche became go to court, Nigerians began to largely lack faith in the electoral process. It was simply about our votes not seemingly counting and the courts going to tell us who actually won. And like I said, that popular phraseology, I think it was Stalin or so who made that quote, and then it became common over the years. It's about he who counts, ironically, in our democracy is largely about he who counts the votes, not necessarily about those who vote. And I think that we must change this cliche if we want to deepen the frontiers of democracy. We must deepen this cliche. We must make wrong this cliche if we must make our democracy work. We must interrogate the entire process. And that's why I said I pity Professor Amopitan. I pity INEC, because when we come to the issues about the new Electoral Act, I'll tell you why I largely pity him. Because very unfortunately, the National Assembly passed a rogue Electoral Act that permits roguery. They passed a law that gives INEC reason for failure. They passed a law that, very unfortunately, people are wont to addressing the issues simply only about real-time transmission of election results, and have left the fundamental issues about the lifespan of campaign period, which was shortened, about how many months it would take the government to release funds to INEC. If you reduce it from 1 year, 12 months to 6 months, then you're invariably saying to INEC, you can come before Nigerians and say, this was the reason we failed. So there's an ambush, a very strong ambush, albeit very surreptitiously, for failure. And that's why I worry largely about 2027. Because when you look at what is actually happening, when you look at the new Electoral Act and the speed with which, albeit Nicodemously, our president signed it into law, you worry. And then you ask yourself, what are they about? And I want to say very clearly and without fear of querulous critics that the APC and the chief strategist, those who believe and who are standing on the mandate of the president, have always told us that Mr. President is a master strategist. And clearly, in all that happened in the National Assembly due to the amendment of the Electoral Act and the new Electoral Act, you will actually understand that there is profound strategy, albeit in the breach, albeit very unpatriotic, albeit taking our electoral regime backward by close to 50 years. And I said this clearly without any sense of doubt. I said, Steve, the reason why and permit me answer this question this way, the reason why we have new parties and political parties emerging, the reason why we have the DLA, Democratic Leadership Alliance, which, of course, if you look at my cap here, you will see with the golden pen as a symbol. The reason why we have people who are saying that we must make leadership responsible and responsive is because, Steve, patriots and statesmen are concerned about the next generation, while very unfortunately politicians are often concerned about the next election. And for them, it's all about the next election. It's not about the credibility of the electoral process. That is why they don't even care whether there is monstrous apathy in the electoral process. That is why they don't even care whether people trust the electoral umpire. That is why they don't care whether Nigerians come out to vote. What is important to them is that they will contest, and no matter how, they will be declared as winners and they will be sworn in. And that is a challenge that we all collectively have. And like you noted in your question, that is why there is large apathy. So what must we begin to do? Steve, I speak for the Democratic Leadership Alliance as one of the two new political parties. And Steve, what I'm saying here is commitment to nation, commitment to our democracy, and commitment to the masses of our country and indeed the future. Why am I saying this, Steve? If we don't build a democracy that is responsible and responsive, if we don't build a democracy that believes in the due process, if we don't build a democracy that holds up to integrity, then we're all in trouble, because rogues, the worst of us, will continue to rule over the best of us, and that is a tragedy of sorts. So going forward, I know that the way to defeat the R party in the political space is to begin to make first the electoral process one of integrity and huge credibility. And that is what the National Assembly and the presidency lost in the speed with which they signed to law an electoral act that does not represent and reflect the aspirations of the Nigerian people. Steve, permit me jump into these fundamental issues. The new electoral act refused the real-time or premium time transmission of election results. And I say this clearly, some people tilt towards the proviso, But you know why there is a proviso? The proviso is because they actually do not want to transmit elections real time. You know, because the lies that they have told you and I is not tenable. If you transmit via the beavers to the IRF, even if there's no network, Steve, like when I send you a WhatsApp message, it will deliver once there's network. So the argument about, oh, there might not be network, so it won't deliver, is surreptitious, delusional, wicked, impious, and impish. They are deliberately trying to frustrate the aspirations and the wishes of the Nigerian people. It is rogue. They are trying to rig the next election. And clearly what is playing out, are you aware that in the Abuja Municipal Council and several others, the elections that took place yesterday, that the IRF, quote unquote, has been jammed? Are you aware that they're saying the argument is that, oh, they cannot transmit to the IRF? That is their hubris. That is their way of wanting to rig, and they're practicalizing it with what is happening today in Abuja. Steve, I worry for our country, and I hope the media rises up to the urgency of now. I hope that the political class rises up to the urgency of now. I hope that statesmen begin to speak up, because if we do not, the 2027 general election stands rigged.
Is DLA your party, or is it the backup for Mr. Peter Obi for 2027?
Steve, DLA is the People's Party. DLA belongs to the Nigerian people. DLA belongs to the Nigerian youths. If you go to our website, Steve, DLA Nigeria, www.dlanigeria.org, you will see faces of vibrant Nigerian youths, those who believe in the future, those who believe that we must make real the promises of democracy, those who believe that we must secure the future, which is our motto, and those who believe that we must lead with courage and serve with integrity. And Steve, I say without fear of querulous critics that when the Labour Party began to show that he who pays the piper truly calls the tune, when the Abure leadership began to derail on fundamental issues, and I took him on, in line with the call for true democracy in the Labour Party, people came out. Initially, my friend and elder brother, Peter Gregory, was uncomfortable with a few of the things, because I began the whole process for the call for the removal of Julius Abure as the Labour Party. But if patriots concern themselves about the future, statesmen are always concerned about the next election. And I'll tell you, Steve, across our country, obedience, articulates, young people everywhere who truly believe that we must bet a new nation are with us. And we are open to those who truly think that the time to build a nation that works for all is now. And I want to say clearly, Steve, that the journey to a new nation and a new Nigeria that works for all is now, and it begins with us. God on the side of our country. Patriots will begin to join with us, and we'll transform the jangling discord of inanity, want, despondency, disease, and decay to an awesome, monstrous, wonderful symphony of brotherhood, of greatness, and of patriotism.
DLA, all you did was to inform Mr. Obi that you will be proceeding with a new party. You didn't ask him to come along.
I think this is where you lose your clairvoyancy. We didn't have to seek an approval or inform him. He was surprised that we actually, because everybody thought, like you noted, that I will be with the ADC. Everybody thought that I will be one of the leaders of the ADC. But I looked at it and I said, a mishmash of persons and characters, and that not deforming the ADC, because we are also looking at the possibility of a rainbow coalition of political tendencies and aspirations for a country that works for all. Clearly, Steve will admit that this administration has failed. Clearly, Steve will admit that the ruling party is less than democratic. Clearly, we admit that this government has been good on paper and less in practice. And we know that we need a nation that works for the good of all. So It's not the time to disparage any of the parties, but what we're saying is that Nigerians must truly own a platform, and the Nigerian youths truly own the DLA.
All right.
Nigerian youths and indeed obedience, articulates, and people from all tendencies truly own the future through the DLA. And that's what we're working on. You know, believing that when we work together, rather than agonize, if we organize, the future that we seek and crave will be a reality.
So, guys, you have heard, you have been informed how the APC wants to do in the next election, and what they want to, the machineries they want to use to rig by jamming the beavers. Anyway, may God help us. See you on the other side, guys. Subscribe to our channel. We'll keep you informed and entertained. See you on the other side. Bye now, for now.